Welcome to the Football Show on PLZ Soccer, sponsored by Arnold Clark. I'm Peter Martin. Great to have your company on this evening. Alan Ruff is with me here in the studio, and our special guest, I'm delighted to say, former Aberdeen, Hibs, Motherwell and Portadown striker Stevie Cowan. I managed to get them all in. I'm sure there's a couple that I might have forgotten about, but we're all in here to talk about today's news. Yeah, lots to get our teeth into. First and foremost, Ruffy, we watched the game. Don't know how Hibs managed to lose it.
Yeah, particularly the first half as well. You know, there was a few chances that you would have thought the quality of strikers would have taken them. But it didn't happen. Sometimes you play in these games, you don't take your chances, you regret it at the end, and they certainly will regret it because the second half performance was as good, and obviously it's always a bit of a downer to get beaten penalties.
Yeah, people wondered what the strength of the Hibs side would be this season, Stevie, on the basis of McGinn and McGeoch not being there, and Scott Allen as well, to be perfectly honest. But is that the main problem, or is it the fact that they can't score goals?
I think they will eventually score goals. I think it was one of those games last night that I think was wrong choices at times, wrong decision making, and then around the box, and even Portis, the centre half, he missed one from 3 yards when he should have probably scored as well. So I think they will continue to create chances, but I think they need to get them to Canberra. I think I like him. He's a good striker. He just wasn't the one that was receiving the final ball last night. I think that's what cost him.
Yeah, what makes him a good striker in your eyes? Because you've scored goals for fun in your own career.
Yeah, well, I think he plays high up in the line. He's got a great first touch, and for me, when he gets that good first touch, he's turning on to centre halves, and centre halves don't like people going and run at them. And I think also when the ball's into the box, he normally is on the end of most of the crosses. He's just got a good instinct for leading the line.
Yeah, I looked at the game last night. I wasn't all that enamoured with Aberdeen, to be honest with you, Ruffy.
No, I think you just have to look at the results they've been having in the last 2 or 3 weeks. They aren't firing on all cylinders. Their big players aren't really performing. Okay, Mackay-Steven has been, everybody's been talking about the good form he has, but you need, I mean, you're at Aberdeen, you need more than that. You really need, people scoring goals, and that's just not been happening for them.
Yeah, I mean, if you were going forward last night in Niall McGinn's position, you would have been putting your mortgage on you scoring the goal.
Well, I don't think he's the same player that was in his first spell at Aberdeen. He went over to South Korea, and I just think he's a shadow of the player that we know he can be. I think there's problems there, and as Ruffy's saying, trying to score goals as well. They've got Cosgrove and Wilson, for me, not natural strikers. So I think maybe come January, if they're still in the hunt for maybe good league positions, maybe Derek McInnes will go and maybe get another striker.
Yeah, it went to extra time. It eventually went to penalties, and Derek McInnes, the Aberdeen boss, delighted that his side managed to get through, although he did point out that penalties is a skill.
I had 7 volunteers to take the first 5, which is always pleasing. And when it goes to extra time and penalties, it doesn't become about just being a good footballer. It becomes about so much more. And I've never been one that buys into this. It's a lottery, penalty kicks. It isn't. It's technique. It's mental strength, the courage to take that kick and be confident with it. And I thought we were very good. And when you've got a goalkeeper like Joe Lewis, you always feel confident anyway.
Stevie, is it an art? Is there a skill to it, or is it just your luck?
No, I believe there's an art and a skill. I took a few penalties in my time, and I don't know if Ruffy remembers one of the games when we beat Celtic in penalties after a 4-each game in the League Cup, and you've got to stand up and be counted, and it takes a bit of courage and a bit of nerve as well, but I agree with Derek McInnes. I think you've got to have that bit of skill about you to make sure you get the penalty put away.
Yeah, what about from your perspective, Ruffy, as a goalkeeper? I mean, Agipong comes up there, he wants to try and drill the ball as hard as he can, ends up coming off the underside of the bar and they're out.
Yeah, well, I think the first thing you've got to do if you're going to step up and take a penalty, you've got to have a bit of bottle. That's when they go in that wee huddle to ask, who's going to take them. Sometimes there's not a lot of hands go up. You can see people sort of stepping back,
so... You name names that
I'm just saying.
You and Stevie, can you come up with a couple of names that just didn't want to be anywhere?
I always sort of a panic, when I see a left back or a right back or a centre half going up taking a penalty,
Yeah.
Because the good penalty kickers, as Stevie just said there, are the boys who are prepared to have the ability to to hit it, to put the foot through it, because if you put your foot through it, there is no way the goalkeeper could save it. But there was a wee trend there, you know, just blasting it down the middle. And I don't know if you noticed, but in the World Cup, the goalkeepers there had caught onto it. You know, they were trailing their legs, deliberately leaving their legs out in the middle of the goal, hoping there was a wee bit of luck that the ball would hit their foot or whatever. And a few of them were beginning to master it.
Yeah, Stevie, Ruffy did mention there, you know, left backs, maybe even right backs, centre halves when they come up. But Scott McKenna just went up there and dispatched as if he was a centre forward.
Confidence. You know, I think he's obviously a confident boy. He's had a really good sort of season and a half, and he's prepared to go up and just do that there. But I always felt as a penalty taker that, you know, that I heard people talking about you got to make your mind up before you go up. I never made my mind up until the run up to the ball.
You're joking, man.
No, because I wanted to see the keeper, where he was standing. Was he putting his weight just a little bit one way? And then I would make my decision at the last minute, and I would the body shape as well, and try and just do something a wee bit different. And maybe not correct, but it suited me.
Yeah. How many did you miss?
I think I missed one.
Yeah.
One for Hibs up at Tannadice. And I blame Paul Kane for that, because he threw the ball to me after I'd been on as a sub for 2 minutes. I didn't want to take it.
Just out of curiosity, because somebody will absolutely leather me. How many did you take?
I probably took about 8 or 9.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, Ruffy, here's a question for you. I wonder if you can remember best penalty taker. I think.
Well, I had two. I went to Hampden for a competition between the two of them, and we could have been there all day because they were just rattling them in left, right, and centre. One was Davy Cooper, and one was John Robertson, and another prolific penalty kick taker was Ray Stewart.
Yeah, the other person I was going to mention to you was Matt Letizia, who for me only missed, I think, 1 out of 50 maybe. And only one was saved by Mark Crossley, Nottingham Forest. Do you remember that goalkeeper? He was, and Phil Neal was a very good penalty taker as well for Liverpool. Yeah. I'm trying to think of people up here in Scotland, but you know, you can't argue Cooper, Robertson. Okay, is it an art? Is it skill? One thing's for certain: Hibs played good football last night, but they're out, and the manager Neil Lennon reckons the best team lost.
The penalty's a lottery. Penalty shootout, it can go either way. And we took our penalties fine, so no complaints there. But my only complaint is that we missed simple chances to win the game. We absolutely dominated Aberdeen for long periods, cut them open, got in round the back of them, got one-on-ones, missed headers from 2-3 yards out. And, you know, not many teams do that to Aberdeen because they're quite resolute. But in the throes of the game, we were absolutely excellent. And I'm delighted with the performance, obviously. Really disappointed with the outcome.
Okay, fairly honest in his assessment of it there. Stevie, where do you think Hibs will finish this season?
I think it'll not be as high as maybe Neil Lennon thinks it'll be. I think maybe 4th or 5th. We've got the strongest league we've had in many a year, with obviously the big teams all be back in the Premiership. And he just has to get that balance right in terms of, you know, getting forward and closing the back door. You know, he's missed a lot of chances last night, okay, albeit out in penalties. Aberdeen still had 2 or 3 good chances that they could have scored if they'd been a bit more sharp around the box. So, you know, he's out of 1 cup. He's only got the Scottish Cup left, realistically, to win. So I think a 4th or 5th place will be where he'll end up.
Okay, as far as the fixtures tonight, we'll reflect on the games tomorrow on our programme. But nevertheless, Rangers against Ayr United. Ian McCall is adamant that they will be having a go. Could they provide us with an upset, Ruffy?
Not the way I think Rangers are playing, particularly at home. The way the confidence is there, scoring goals, fans will turn up in numbers. I played against Ayr United twice this year. Very solid at the back. They've obviously got Shankland up front, but they've got other players there as well. A couple of ex-Rangers players will be playing tonight, so they'll be wanting to impress as well. No, and unfortunately, I think they, again, like Dundee and St Johnstone, might lose a few goals tonight.
Yeah, St Johnstone obviously up against Celtic, and Celtic have just been, you know, dealing with all the opinions that have been coming their way since they haven't had a great start to the season. Suggestions from a Kilmarnock striker, Chris Boyd, that there's a split, a divide. There's unhappiness in the Celtic dressing room. Lewis Morgan is having none of it.
That's nonsense. Everyone in the dressing room, you can only see what we've achieved over the last couple of years, and that doesn't come without being united. And everyone, all the boys, it's a really close knit group, and we're all working hard and behind the scenes to make sure that we're progressing on the field.
What's it like, Stevie, in a dressing room when, there are some players who don't get a move and they sulk, but, this is a team that's won back-to-back trebles. They don't suddenly not like each other.
No, I don't think there's anything in that at all. It's just poor form. Whatever way you want to look at it, not scoring goals, not creating goals. And after 2 years that they've had, I think it's difficult for any team in any sport to continue that process. And other teams, I think, have sussed them out a little bit how to play against them. I'm sure they will come back again. And tonight, they've got the cup game, and as well know cup football, one off, chance to rediscover the form. And St John's in heavy defeat at the weekend, so it could be a bit vulnerable.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at it, Ruffy, and I'm saying to myself, over the course of a long, long season, there are 6 games played. And I think, some of the suggestions at the moment with 6 games played are ludicrous. There's only a point between 4 teams at the top end. And Celtic have the stronger squad. I just think the better players will eventually come to the fore.
Well, I think unfortunately for Celtic, they've been judged in the last 2 seasons. The winning run they went on, and obviously the form for last year as well. And it is a poor start. I think if you look at the stats, particularly the goal scoring, I picked it up at the end of the season, and I don't remember any strikers at Celtic not scoring more than 20 goals in a season. That for me was poor as well. And I don't go along with the split and the divide thing, but I do think there are people in that dressing room not happy for whatever reason. But that doesn't mean that the team's not going to perform. If you could go to any club and somebody's not going to be happy whether they're playing or not. And I think somebody made the point as well, the sort of French players all hang about together. Well, so what? If that's what they want to do, that's what they do.
Yeah, as long as they perform for the wages they're getting paid. My point on this, though, when you look at the players that are there that Brendan Rodgers has at his disposal, they're going to have to deliver at some point, but maybe they have to change their style a wee bit as well, Stevie, because at times I find them, slow. It's laborious. At times it's difficult to watch.
I think you're right, and for me, and we all have our opinions. Sometimes I think go with 2 strikers, because defences nowadays don't really come up with 2 strikers playing. So I think you go, if you put Edouard up with Griffiths and have a go. I think Celtic, with the nature of the beast, you should have 1 sitting midfielder rather than 2 with Encham and Brown. So yeah, I think you could shake it up, and that would cause people problems. And I think you would get a lot of goals from that.
Yeah, one team I have been impressed with this season, although I was disappointed on Saturday. You were there with me at Tynecastle, Hearts against Motherwell. I think Hearts were playing some really good football. Unfortunately, I just got the feeling on Saturday that Livingston played a style of football that just derailed anything that we were hoping for as a classic game.
Yeah, and I actually enjoyed the game, even though it was a 0-0. I just like the contrast of the 2 styles, and you're right about Hearts. I think it was too slow, at times too laborious. I'm not convinced about their attack line either. I think Whiting and McLean are not a good combination for me. But Livingston, I think all credit to them. I think they play a direct game, as we know. They get the ball forward quickly. But they've got some good football players in there, and at times they kept possession and were lucky not to score a couple of goals.
Yeah, Hearts have lost Lafferty. I mean, they're obviously coming up against a side that are similar to them tonight in Motherwell as far as their physicality. This one could be a right ding-dong battle. But I think Ikpeazu seems to be the linchpin of the way they want to play this season.
He does, but again, I look at it on Saturday, and you said people were there, and I think Naismith was playing too deep for me.
Yeah.
He scores a hat-trick against St Mirren. He does really well. Back in the Scotland team, he's a clever player. I really like him, and I think you play him further up the park, maybe with Ikpeazu, but he's still got a long way to go. But they're a different, I think, probably a better combination than White and McLean were on Saturday.
And Craig Levein has revealed there was a bust up in the dressing room. I wonder if he was just trying to preempt maybe something that would have come out in the newspapers. He'll control it, or is he trying to highlight the fact that the Hearts players are not happy dropping points against Livingston?
Well, that's what it looks like. Obviously they've won all these games, and the dressing room would be on a high. There always is certain individuals in there might say something out of turn, and somebody won't like it. If a finger started getting pointed, these kind of things happen in the dressing room, but he'll use that as, that's where we are. We're disappointed at not winning games.
Yeah, I just wonder if your old club, Motherwell, Stephen Robinson has said that he reckons that they've just tried to become too silky. They should get back to being the feared team they were last season, which was, up and at 'em, and let's have a bit of physicality in there as well.
and you probably see that tonight. I think they'll maybe adopt that tactic, the knowing that the Hearts back four maybe doesn't like that. But it's one of these ones as well. I think they're like, you know, Celtic, Aberdeen and one or two other teams started the season not as well as they finished last season, 2 cup finals as well know, and maybe he's just looking for a bit of freshness and a different approach to try and get that result he's looking for.
Yeah, okay. We will reflect on the 3 remaining quarter-final ties on tomorrow night's programme. But we'll switch our attention to some good news today for women's football. The Scottish Government is giving them some significant funds, £80,000, to help with some of the players that are not playing at a professional level, that are in the Scotland squad. One of them could be our very own Leanne Crichton. She's hoping to make that squad for next year's World Cup finals, and I asked her first of all for her immediate reaction to the news of the funding.
Yeah, it's fantastic, Peter. We're absolutely delighted with the support of the government. It's not the first time that they've stepped in to support our programme, and I think this time it's come round a lot quicker than it had done previously, so it's fantastic to get the news as early on after qualification, and the girls are absolutely delighted along with Shelley.
How much of a bonus will this be, do you think, to the overall performance preparation and hopefully the performances against other teams when the finals come around?
Yeah, I think it'll be a huge leveller for us. We know that most of the other nations that, you know, attend the World Cup, if they don't, you know, they've got close to professional levels within their countries. Most of the players play within that environment, and for us, it just puts us on that level pegging with those teams that, you know, we can all train and perform to our best. We'll be able to rest up and fully focus on the football without having to think about all those other external factors, you know, that go on in life. A lot of the girls that, you know, are still part of education programmes. I do a bit of studying away from it as well. So just to have that time and energy reserved once we get to the World Cup, you know, we'll be able to unleash to the same level as all the other teams that will be there.
Well, Ruffy, Leanne works for us on more than a few occasions, and she reckons that this funding will allow the players to get the perfect preparation for a World Cup. In a strange way, I don't think too many of these girls realise that they will forever etch their names in history. They will be iconic figures for years to come because they've reached the World Cup finals. Yeah,
I think it's fantastic. I think it's fantastic that the government are giving them money. You know, I think Leanne's always told us about the dedication the girls have. They're like 5 nights a week, you know, after some of them working, you know, and they're out there all the time. They're so determined to be successful. So this is giving them a chance, you know, and I'm sure the nearer the tournament comes, everybody should get right behind them and give them a good send-off.
It's quite incredible. I think the one great thing about it as well, in a perverse sort of way for us, Stevie, is the fact that I think Scottish fans will get right behind them in great numbers because we don't have a men's side that we can look towards a major finals. We've been crying out to go somewhere. Holidays, get your mates together and go and support Scotland. This, I think, is something that will get the nation excited.
Well, I think they will. We like to win. Clearly, the ladies are proving that they're a winning team and getting to the World Cup there. And as Ruffy said, good to see the government giving them money. Maybe could have given them a bit more money, make it 100,000 rather than 80,000. And for the training they do, maybe some of our boys and young men could take an example from what they do for themselves because they really do put a lot of work in.
Yeah, and strangely enough, that I thought the best line of it was Leanne saying it will allow us to do less to prepare better, because people who are doing part-time jobs and all that, suddenly they can free up their schedule and then concentrate solely on the job in hand, Ruffy. Let's hope we're celebrating a good World Cup as well, never mind just getting there. Yeah,
I think if you even ask any Scotland manager, the first thing he wants is everybody together, and he doesn't want them for just 3 days meeting up, he wants them for the whole week, and that's the way it is now. So the more they get together, the better they will become.
Yep, okay, just before we finish that, I might ask, did you two play together on a regular basis in that Hibs side?
We did, yeah. Yes, yeah, we did. Many a game, many a good game, many a not so good game.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
speak for yourself.
I am.
That's exactly what I was thinking, Robbie. I'm looking at the time. You had some great times at Aberdeen, which we've discussed on more than a few occasions. Stevie has mentioned to me that it maybe wasn't a side that had great expectations, Ruffy, or maybe staying in the Premier League at that time in 80, 85. Yeah, you were there. It was the key
there's
to it
a
all.
lot of experience there. And obviously with Stevie and Gordon Jury up front, they were knocking in goals for fun. They were a partnership that people couldn't found it very, very hard to deal with. But we had other big players in there as well. And Stevie touched on it. Masses of young players coming through.
Yeah.
I mean, if you just shut your eyes and thought of the players, Kano, John Collins, Eddie May, Gordon Hunter, Stevie. They were just the amount of young players that were ready to bounce into that team was fantastic.
Yeah, well, don't tell him the answer, Stevie, right? But obviously Stevie was hired to bring that bit of experience in the front line with Gordon Jury. Do you know what age he was when he signed for Hibernian?
I'd take a guess at he probably looked 28, but I would say around about 22.
Oh, that's a good shout, Stevie. And I genuinely didn't tell him, I kid you not. 22, that's not too bad. I mean, you were going there and players were saying that to you.
Yeah, I thought I was still a youngster, still learning the game, and when I got there and Mickey Wee and Paul Kane, the people you mentioned there, roughly were saying, what do we do here? What do you think we should do here? I'm thinking, well, I'm just sort of learning that myself. But that's what you were thrown into and probably helped me grow up quicker around the dressing room. But no, it was a great dressing room and loads of good players, as Ruffy says. And, we got to the League Cup final, as you know, didn't do ourselves justice. Scottish Cup semi-final. So, yeah, it wasn't too bad a season.
Yeah, I was just about to say to you, and the great thing that both of you have got in common, I wonder if you know what that is, Ruffy, something that both of you share as a memory, and both of you have one person in your lives that, is pivotal in your time at Hibs.
No, you have at Hibs?
Yeah.
No, you have to tell me who that is.
Both of you were bombed out by Alec Miller.
A great guy. Yeah, great guy, wasn't he?
No.
I just thought I'd throw that in there because he said that to me earlier and I went, that's what Ruffy's got as well in common with you. Is there a particular game, Ruffy, that you remember Stevie scoring something special?
No, I think that him and Gordon, as I said, particularly against the big sides.
Yeah.
Didn't they just score against the teams of our level, against Rangers, Celtic, Aberdeen? We always gave them good games.
Yeah.
They never ever came to Easter Road and got an easy game.
The only thing I remember, and obviously because I spend most of the time with him, is I don't know how the younger guys survive with him in a dressing room because he could demotivate anybody by winding them up.
I think we survived, and one of the things that the funny stories I like, about Ruffy. Remember we lost the League Cup final, and on the bus after it, we're all sitting, heads down and all that. And Alan comes on, case of champagne, it says, get the heads up, lads, we're going to celebrate anyway. And away we went. But I think that was brilliant in bringing out all the other players out themselves. And, Ruffy done that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I only gave him 6. It was 2 cases.
I knew there had to be an angle for you. And wouldn't it be great if he could do that for the team he's with now here at PLZ Soccer? I haven't seen the champagne. But nevertheless, great to chat to Stevie Cowan. I'm sure it won't be the last time we see him on this programme, reflecting on his playing career, but obviously offering his expertise in football in the current day. Join us tomorrow on PLZ Soccer's football show. If you can, Ruffy and myself will be discussing things with Gordon Smith, who will be in the studio here with us to look back on those 3 quarter-final ties to see who'll be joining Aberdeen. From Stevie Cowan, Alan Ruff and myself, Peter Martin, thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe.